At first glance, Egypt looks just like any other country. A billboard with a smiling child, a TV spot about a new investment, an online clip with the slogan, "For a better tomorrow." But it only takes a month of living here to understand that these ads aren't selling products. They're selling emotions, they're selling loyalty, they're selling Egyptianness. Because Egypt is not Poland, where advertising is laundry detergent or a bank with a free account. Here, advertising is a tool of politics. It's an extension of power, the president's quiet megaphone, a subtle psychologist of the crowd. It's propaganda wearing a marketing suit. In a country where freedom of speech is rationed like petrol in communist-era Poland, advertising becomes something more, the language of controlled enthusiasm. On the streets of Cairo, Alexandria, or Aswan, billboards blend into each other. Next to Lay's chips, you see the president's face in uniform with the caption, "Stronger than ever." Next to shampoo, a gigantic bridge with the slogan, "We're building the future." And on TV, a spot about a child who wants to become an engineer, just like Dad who builds bridges. An innocent little story? No, it's a symbol. Because those bridges are built with massive budget overruns, and the spot has one goal, for you not to think about the cost, only about pride. Egypt is a post-revolutionary state. People remember Mubarak's fall, the chaos under Morsi, and finally Sisi's takeover. In such an atmosphere, every ad is not just an ad, it's a bandage on a social wound. It's a placebo pill meant to calm, strengthen, and gently suggest, "It's fine. We're moving forward." And in this episode, we're going to look inside a world where advertising doesn't sell detergent or phones. It sells stability. It sells loyalty. It sells the illusion that tomorrow really will be better. We begin. In this part of the episode, we'll look at how those in power use advertising to cement the state narrative, to control citizens' emotions, and to create the illusion of success. In a country where freedom of speech is limited, advertising becomes the language of controlled enthusiasm. What is patriotic advertising? In Egypt, there's a specific genre of advertising that doesn't sell a product, but instead sells a sense of community, gratitude towards the government, loyalty to the leader. They're often spots, aired on television just before the main news, covering entire neighborhoods before the anniversary of the revolution, pretending to be social campaigns, but ending with the logo of the Ministry of Defense. An example? An ad shows a child saying, "I want to be an engineer, like my dad who built bridges." Sounds innocent? Those bridges are government investments with huge budget overruns. The spot doesn't mention the cost, only the pride. That's not an accident. It's a systemic strategy. Egypt is a post-revolutionary country. People remember Mubarak's fall, Morsi's chaos, Sisi's rise to power. In this reality, the authorities have to build narrative stability, create positive associations with the state, redirect economic frustration into national pride. Advertising plays the role of crowd psychologist in this process. Instead of facts, it delivers emotion. Instead of criticism, it delivers an image of a dynamically developing country. And most importantly, it does this in a subtle way, not through bans, but through an excess of positive messaging. Television as a regime vehicle for emotion. Egyptian state TV is a machine with two gears, political and military news, with obligatory segments about the president. Social ads, glorifying investments, bridges, schools, hospitals, often unfinished or non-existent. Some of these ads have cinematic quality, with Discovery Channel-style narration, drone shots, heroic music, a child saying proudly, "This is my country." But these ads never show poverty, traffic jams, queues to see a doctor, or protests. Egypt in advertising is an ideal Egypt, and anyone who doubts it acts against the community. In Egypt, advertising doesn't just tell people what is good, it also tells them what is suspicious. Example, a spot shows a young man talking to a stranger on WhatsApp. Then a voiceover says, "Not everything that sounds good is good for the country." Officially, it's an anti-disinformation campaign, but in reality, it's a warning against thinking differently. Another spot, someone complains about prices. Someone else says, instead of complaining, let's build together. Ending, be part of the solution, not the problem. That's not advertising, it's psychological censorship dressed up as marketing. In Egypt, those in power often combine religion with political advertising. Slogans like, "Thank God you are Egyptian," "Our actions are part of God's plan," "Unity is an act of faith," are the norm. Advertising becomes a tool of quasi-spiritual grounding for the regime. You don't have to believe in the president, but you believe in God, and he acts through the government. It's an old principle, religious legitimization of secular power. And it's not just TV and the internet. Billboards with the president's face, slogans like "stronger than ever," flags, investment projects, photos of him in uniform, often hung in the same spots as product ads, next to chips, shampoo, and fast food. What does this do to the viewer's mind? It fuses the image of the state with everyday life, normalizes the presence of power as something natural, builds a semi-conscious association. The president is the guarantor of life. Who creates these campaigns? Usually not creative agencies, but media units tied to the government, the army, the security services. Many of the people in these teams are former state journalists, documentary directors, media operatives. Their job? To connect emotion with message, to anticipate social reactions, to manage the mood of the crowd through advertising. It's not about a product, it's about keeping the social temperature under control. It doesn't threaten or scare. It doesn't force. It offers emotional comfort in exchange for loyalty. The government is building new housing estates, even though prices are out of reach for the average Egyptian. Egypt stronger than ever, despite inflation and deficit. We are together, even if people are unemployed. This isn't advertising, it's national placebo, served daily, discreetly, emotionally. To sum up, advertising in Egypt is part of a system for controlling emotions and the social narrative. The authorities use spots as soft power tools to boost their image. The patriot is a customer, and the customer is a voter, not at the ballot box, but in daily acceptance. In Egypt, state advertising doesn't tell you what to do, it tells you how to feel. Just 10 years ago, the common belief was, you can't monetize the internet in Egypt. Too poor, too chaotic. Today, TikTok is the national medium of the young, YouTube is the independent TV, and Facebook and WhatsApp are marketplaces, matchmaking agencies, and notice boards all in one. In this act, we dive into digital Egypt, where advertising is no longer the domain of big agencies or the state, but ordinary people with phones. It's a world where the algorithm has replaced the creative director, and a viral can destroy a brand faster than a revolution. TikTok as Gen Z's religion. Egyptian TikTok isn't about dance challenges. It's an educational platform, a therapeutic outlet, a product review center, and the most powerful grassroots advertising tool. Example: a young woman records a video with a new cream. She doesn't say directly it's an ad, but 2 days later, 300,000 views, comments, "Where can I buy this?" The brand sets up an official account and starts a collaboration. That's how advertising is born. From the bottom up, virally, without permission, without a budget. Influencers are Egypt's new celebrities. In traditional media, the faces of Ramadan, actors, presenters, online, the everyday actors of daily life. Female students showing what they bought at the bazaar, taxi drivers commenting on fuel prices, grandmothers testing household appliances, boys singing that acne cream is better than the government. These people are not hired by agencies, but their reach exceeds that of the biggest outdoor campaigns. And more importantly, they are trusted, because they're one of us. Authentic, chaotic. Egyptian to the bone. How do Egyptians shop through social media? In the Gulf, e-commerce means huge platforms. In Egypt, often, a direct message on Instagram. Online advertising doesn't end with a click. The customer writes directly to the seller, negotiates, asks for a discount, asks for opinions. The transaction is a conversation, not a procedure. Live streams are also popular. Live selling, where an influencer shows the product, talks about it, jokes, and people buy like at a real-time auction. It's a show and a shop at the same time. In Egypt, many creators don't understand SEO, CTR, ROI, but they know that. TikTok promotes emotion, YouTube loves comments, Facebook likes family drama, and Instagram works if you show food or shoes. This is tribal knowledge, passed between friends, developed through trial and error. But it works. Because advertising in Egypt doesn't have to be professional. It has to be on target. Not everything works. Sometimes an ad backfires. Example, a bottled water brand posted a video in which a child shows that tap water is for the poor. Result? Boycott water goes viral. Hundreds of thousands of comments. You despise us? The company pulls the campaign, but it's already too late. The internet in Egypt doesn't forgive arrogance. It's a living organism. Advertising that doesn't understand its audience dies. The state versus the internet. Censorship versus chaos. The state tries to control social media. Digital security laws. Closing political accounts. Blocking videos that violate public morality. But it's a fight with a hydra. Because every banned user returns with a new account, new number, new message. And more of them are learning to advertise, earn money, and build reach. Sometimes openly, sometimes in the shadows, under the guise of a personal vlog. In Egyptian neighborhoods, it's not always the big stars who hold the power. Sometimes it's more effective to be a local influencer who knows people by name, knows what's going on in the district, shows life without filters. Her post about a new laundry detergent? It has more impact on sales than a billboard by the pyramids. It's a local word-of-mouth version of digital advertising, where success is not clicks, but I saw it with Rana, I bought it too. To sum up, TikTok and YouTube are more powerful advertising tools than TV because they're bottom-up. Influencers in Egypt are authentic, unpredictable, effective, and often beyond the system's control. The internet has created a new class of advertising gorillas who earn money from the couch. Online advertising in Egypt doesn't know distance. Everything happens here and now through direct emotion. Egypt has two advertising worlds. The first is the one we see: billboards, TikToks, TV, Ramadan spots. The second is the one no one calls advertising, but which works 100 times better. It's an underground river of messages flowing through WhatsApp, gossip, markets, bazaars, Lebanese satellite channels, dark forums, magic shops, and oral transmission from generation to generation. In this part, we'll look at advertising that balances on the edge of legality, rationality, and reality. Because in Egypt, you can't advertise everything, but you can sell anything if you know how. Magic and talismans are the oldest form of marketing. In Egypt, magic is not a metaphor. It's part of the real economy. Shops with amulets, healers, fortune tellers, women selling perfumes for love or for protection from betrayal. This is everyday life in many districts of Cairo, Aswan, the Nile Delta. You won't find them in Google Ads, but if you ask a taxi driver for the address, write in a closed Facebook group, look at a wall with chalk symbols, you'll find a master who doesn't need a PR agency. Example? A slogan like, Madam Fatima brings husbands back, no physical contact. A phone number on a little piece of paper pinned to a pole. 100 clients a day. This is subliminal and word-of-mouth advertising, operating outside the algorithm but inside the mind. Illegal medicine and pseudo-medicine ads. The Egyptian pharmaceutical market is a jungle. Legal pharmacies? They exist. But next to them, a whole line of uncertified products, often imported, no prescription, no oversight. Diet pills from Saudi Arabia, creams from Sudan, oils from Oman to attract love. Does anyone advertise this? Not directly. But A woman on TikTok says that, thanks to this cream, my husband stopped cheating. WhatsApp messages with the number of a trusted pharmacy, posts in closed groups. You can buy this from my cousin, he's reliable. It's black marketing based on shame, the desire to control your life, magical promises, and fast results. On a different note, in Egypt, you can't advertise political views unless you do it as a lifestyle. Example? A video shows a guy in expensive shoes saying, "We don't complain, we act." Sounds like motivation? It's a disguised ad for a pro-presidential movement. On the other side, a girl shows a poor neighborhood, talks about prices, says, "This is not a revolution. This is everyday life." No logo, no party, no slogan, but the message is clear. That's an ad for resistance, hidden in a vlog, smuggled through TikTok, invisible to censorship, but obvious to any Egyptian. On the margins of digital Egypt, forums, Telegram groups, and apps resembling the dark web operate. There you'll find ads for non-existent services, officially banned products like alcohol in religious districts, job offers with risk, read export slavery, forged documents advertised as solutions for the desperate, all built on codes, ciphers, emoji, colors, dates, and times of posting. You won't find buy now there, but you only need to know the password to enter a network where advertising is the illusion of legality. In Egypt, you also cannot advertise sexuality. No condom ads, no lingerie, not even open suggestions. And yet, perfume ads show women in half profile. Influencers talk about man-woman relationships with an ironic smile. Is he cheating on me? TikToks hit millions of views. It's coded advertising. You don't say anything directly, but the audience knows that. It's about attraction. It's about the body. It's about feeling in control of the relationship. It's the oldest marketing in the world, dressed in a moral costume, but with the hem slightly lifted. What are the risks of advertising the forbidden? On paper, harsh penalties, account closure, prison if linked to politics or fraud, fines for pseudomedicine or amulets. In practice, most of these ads survive thanks to quiet arrangements with local police, bribes for officials, social conspiracy of silence, because people need these products and services. To sum up, in Egypt, a powerful underground advertising machine operates, based on emotion, taboo, religion, fear, and hope. Forbidden ads work better than legal ones, because they are more personal and mysterious. Censorship misses whispers, but it doesn't ignore the power of memes and micro-messages. The clients of these ads are not the margins. They are all those who feel invisible. How do you sell Egyptianness? Not every country has a strong national brand. Not every country knows how to sell its culture as a product. But Egypt does, and it does it with flair. Not by exporting products, but by exporting identity. In this act, we'll look at how Egyptianness, understood as a lifestyle, taste, sound, smell, and association, becomes added value to products that don't even have to be Egyptian. Tea, dates, songs, film, clothing, even the way of speaking. All of these can be advertising, not direct, but stronger than a slogan. Tea is the archetype of Egyptianness. In Egypt, they say, everything starts with a glass of tea. And that's not a metaphor. It's the starting point for advertising narratives. A bank ad? It starts with a man drinking tea with his father. A mobile network ad? The phone call lasts exactly as long as it takes the tea to brew. A medicine ad? A mother gives her child tea, only then syrup. Tea is a symbol of stability, normality, tradition. Brands that want credibility often hook into this motif, even if they have nothing to do with beverages. Example? A campaign for a retail chain showing family scenes with tea, ending with the slogan, "Because every home has its own taste of Egypt." That's not sales, it's plugging into a cultural code. And that code is also music. Egypt is a country where advertising and music are inseparable. A spot without a song? In Egypt, that doesn't exist. Every bigger campaign has a specially written song, a recognizable singer, often from the shabby genre, an easy chorus that sticks in your head and refuses to leave. Example? Vodafone mobile network ads from 2020-2022. Every Ramadan had a new song. Reach? Millions. Effectiveness? Thousands of people sang the brand slogan without realizing it was advertising. It's neuromarketing to the rhythm of Arabic drums. Film and TV series are advertising tools too. Egypt is the center of Arab cinema. Every series, every film, every show is not just a media product, but also a carrier of Egyptian identity. That's why many brands, instead of advertising separately, enter series. Product placement in Egypt is not background. It's the entire scene. The toothpaste sits on the table. A character says the bank's name out loud. The song ends with the name of the operator. There is no hidden advertising. There is brand as normal part of an Egyptian's life. And clothing? Advertising in Egypt often oscillates between two images. The traditional woman in hijab, warmth, family, spirituality. The modern woman, often in Western clothes, but presented as success on Egyptian terms. Both figures appear alternately, depending on the target group. But their function is the same, reinforcing the narrative that Egyptianness can be both traditional and modern at the same time. And this is exactly what's advertised most often. Not clothes, not cosmetics, but the feeling of I am myself and I fit into Egypt. Even though modern Egypt tries to be both modern and Islamic, the pharaohs still sell best, not just in tourism. In advertising, brand names like Tutankhamun water, Horus Telecom, Cleopatra soap, graphic motifs in logos, fonts stylized as hieroglyphs, metaphorical slogans, ancient strength, contemporary trust. Example? An export campaign calling to buy Egyptian products with the slogan, "Made in the land of pharaohs." Trusted by history, this is not a product. It's a transcendent national brand whose power works across the Middle East and Africa. How does symbol work in advertising? Egyptian advertising often doesn't speak directly, but triggers associations. A woman in the kitchen is warmth, care, stability. A steaming kettle is time for yourself, safety, ritual. A child with a grandfather is history, respect, generations. Falafel from the corner shop is authenticity, locality, dignity. Advertising uses these symbols like liturgy. You don't have to explain anything. The viewer understands because it's his world, his code, his Egypt. To sum up, Egyptianness itself is a marketing value. It sells more than the product. Cultural symbolism, music, film, tea, religious gestures, all of these are carriers of the advertising message. A brand that can enter the Egyptian soul doesn't need a huge budget. It just needs to know its rituals, emotions, and memories. Egypt doesn't sell things, it sells the feeling of being part of something bigger. Egyptian advertising is not advertising, it's theater. It's the liturgy of everyday life. It's the vehicle the authorities use to steer the emotions of millions. When the state wants, you get a spot about the army's heroism, about bridges and investments. When you don't want, TikTok feeds you a song the whole street is singing. And when you're looking for something more, you'll find a love talisman, an oil against infidelity, or a granny fortune teller whose ad is a phone number on a scrap of paper pinned to a pole. Egypt has two advertising worlds. The official one, with cameras, drones, and heroic music, and the unofficial one, with gossip, WhatsApp, closed Facebook groups, and forbidden suggestions. The first one says, Egypt is growing stronger. The second says, Egypt lives as always, in the shadows, half-voiced, in whispers. But both worlds share one thing. They can sell anything. From patriotism to perfume, from national pride to a magic amulet. Because advertising in Egypt doesn't ask, what do you want to buy? Advertising in Egypt says, who do you want to be? And immediately hands you the answer. A patriot, a believer, Loyal, modern, traditional, as long as you fit the narrative. And in the end, a question remains that concerns us too. Because maybe Egypt is not an exception. Maybe we also live in a world where ads, the big and the small, the ones from TV and the ones on our phones, sell us something you can't touch every single day. A sense of belonging, the illusion of normality, the mirage of success. So perhaps looking at Egyptian billboards and TikToks, we should ask ourselves, are our lives not also one big advertising campaign?